Buying a car is always suck. Go to the dealership, you do the song and dance, you say this, they say that, they add $10,000 worth of fees. And if you're good at negotiating, the best case scenario is both you and the dealership are just a little pissed off. That's the good ending. But what if there was no dealership? No sleazy salesman, no song and dance, a place where we could democratize the market, a place with 34% fraud listings, and a place with zero buyer protection, full of car flippers and ghost listings. Welcome to Facebook Marketplace. Facebook launches their latest service built right into the app. This allowed people to easily list things they wanted to sell, and Facebook would show those listings to people in your local area. A few things that were notable about Marketplace is that you could actually see who you were dealing with instead of it mainly being anonymous like Craigslist. By also making it difficult to fake accounts, one of the biggest pulls of Marketplace was trust. You could trust that whoever was selling something on there was A, a real person, and B, actually selling the thing that they wanted to sell, which seems like the bare minimum for a marketplace service, but I digress. Important to add, but people on Facebook were already using it to sell stuff with things like groups, so the marketplace was really just more of a formalization of what people were already doing. And yes, during this time you could sell cars, technically, but this doesn't really manifest until later on. In 2018, Facebook really starts to dial in on selling cars as easily as possible. Teaming up with Kelley Blue Books, Cars.com, and Carfax, even adding a dedicated category just to sell cars. So at this point, if you're trying to sell a car, it's actually a really nice experience. You just type in the car that you want with the mileage and price that you desire, and Facebook shows you relative listings while also providing genuine information about the car. Just like any other listing website, but this is still Facebook Marketplace. Just imagine this is a real store and you're walking down from the Lego aisle and boom, there's just a Tiguan for sale, next to some homemade cookies that are just not FDA approved. Now I have a website that's designed to be really good at selling cars. I wonder what could happen in the next few years that might make buying used cars a more attractive option. New car production collapses due to nationwide shutdowns and also a chip shortage. That's weird. I'm sure that's just a special thing. I don't think that's gonna be a problem later down the road. This resulted in used car prices skyrocketing. For reference, before COVID, the average was $20,000. During COVID, it was $30,000. If you were trying to buy a car from a dealership, the odds are they weren't even open. And if they were open, you're paying a 50% markup due to supply chain shortages. I'm not gonna lie, this was a great year for dealerships. But if there's one thing I know, it's you don't fuck with the money. Consumers have a breaking point, and with car prices getting ridiculous, people started to look for alternative ways to buy cars. And the most popular was, of course, Facebook Marketplace. There were no huge profit incentives, no employees trying to hit quota, just your neighborhood grandma trying to get rid of her Camry. It was a breath of fresh air for people who were just trying to buy cars. After 2020, Facebook had cemented itself as the best used car website in the world, eventually banning dealerships from free listings, focusing more on private peer-to-peer deals, and also making a shit ton of money, of course. So far, I've been talking about how awesome Facebook is, which might surprise you given the thumbnail with the fire and the brimstone and the explosion and the evil. So let's recap everything that's awesome about Facebook Marketplace. Free to list if you're a private seller, social profiles add accountability, the single biggest used car listing website in the world. In a vacuum, these are all great ideas, but now that the dust has settled and dealerships have had time to adapt, let's look at some facts. According to TSP Bank, they reported in 2023, 34% of the listings on Facebook Marketplace were fake. To that I say, have you ever used Facebook Marketplace? They're selling iPhones that haven't been released yet. But to have a third of your listings be scams is genuinely concerning. While yes, you have listings on here that are from official car websites, if you're a private seller, there's no requirement to say anything about your car. How many owners has it had? None. Oh, so it's brand new. Oh, it's old. Oh, so how many miles? AC blows cold. Let's say you buy a car from someone and then the very next day that car explodes. There's no refund policy. It's the Wild West out there. So even if you do find a good deal, there's no guarantee they're even telling the truth. Let me paint you a picture. Somebody buys a car for $2,000. Soon after buying the car, it falls apart. So you patch it up barely enough to run, and then you sell it off to someone else for $2,500 because you gotta make up the money that you put into it. This cycle repeats until you get a ship of Theseus that's worth $500, but is listed for $10,000. These type of problems happened all the time before Marketplace was a thing. But when the #1 site in the entire world has no rules or regulations, this kind of problem only gets worse. Because of all these issues, the marketplace has become more of a last resort, more of a I can't afford to finance at a dealership, so I'm gonna drive 200 miles away and gamble on this guy to see if he's actually telling the truth. Does the AC blow cold? I don't know. It's winter. Everything is cold. Using the service to sell, it's great. I use it to sell stuff all the time. But if you're trying to buy a car, you basically need to get a mechanical engineering degree to make sure you're not getting scammed. But what if you wanted a shitty car? Is Facebook good for getting project cars? No. In fact, it has made the specific market so much worse. When I bought my first car, I didn't know anything about them. I just wanted something cool that was like a coupe or a convertible. Given my price range, I was left with a couple of options. I could get the car I wanted at a high mileage and an even higher insurance, or I could get the car that wasn't very cool, but was very reliable. And when your dad is co-signing the loan, he's not gonna let you get the Corvette with 200,000 miles. So I took the safe option. And I love my car still. I'm a huge fan of cars in general, and I'm very happy with what I have. I think it strikes a good balance between function and fun, even if it's mostly function. But I'm scrolling on the tube. That's slang for YouTube. I'm using slang. I see a lot of people with these project cars. I could get a really cheap car that doesn't have all the buttons or features, maybe doesn't even start, and I could keep that as a side project, you know, as like a Gumar to my main car. My goon car. But Facebook, goddammit, has ruined it again, and this is what really pisses me off. Project cars are supposed to be affordable. That's why we buy them old and with high mileage, because they're cheap. And you can't do that anymore. Before Marketplace, if you wanted to sell your car, you'd probably just go to Kelley Blue Books, give you the value of your car based off the mileage and condition, whatever. And you would also list it based on your local area, because selling a car in Ohio is very different than selling a car in California. Those are very different customer bases. Nowadays, if you're selling your car, you're one, selling it on Facebook, and two, you're not gonna look up the value on Kelley Blue Books. You're just gonna look up the same car that you have on Facebook and see what it's selling for and price it accordingly. And Facebook will show you what they're selling for nationwide. So of course you want the most out of your car, so you're gonna price it as high as you can. And because people know that certain cars make for really good project cars, they've actually added a premium on top of that. Facebook has formalized unionized price jacking, so you're paying a premium on a car that is not even guaranteed to last. It's at the point where you might as well just go to the dealership because the prices are the same, but at least the dealership has laws they have to abide by. These aren't classics, they're not super reliable, they're not well maintained, none of these cars are super rare. They're just taking our passion and squeezing every dollar they can get out of it. Can't afford a new one, and now it doesn't even make sense to buy a used one. Fortunately, we have a solution. Facebook has answered my prayers. We finally have a way to fight back. Fellas, I present to you the Laugh React. With this wonderful tool, we can finally show them who's boss by bullying them to lower their prices. This is the only surefire way we can achieve our dreams. Or I just gotta get my money up. Either way.